Hi, I'm Janice Switlo, and today I want to quote from a book by Matt Kahn that helps to explain a little bit more about what is going on and why I'm sure many band members and Indigenous nationals are asking themselves, why are a chief and council signing off on things and trying to obtain from us in manipulative ways that are not transparent, so there's no fully informed, freely provided consent to do these things. Why are they trying to get our authorities in our, so that we no longer will have a right of choice, but only chief and council will decide for us? And I found these writings, these quotes that I'm going to provide, very helpful because I've asked this question too. How can you do that to your own people, right? And this is very, very telling. And of course it links back to residential schools and all of the manner in which Indigenous nationals, 60s scoop, how they've been subjected to intense racism, systemic racism, and primed to view themselves and others to view them in the same way of being less than human, for instance. From the perspective of ego, freedom is believed to be the effect of having leverage over reality. This is because the majority of painful moments were experienced as being controlled by reality in whatever way characters were created to affect our experience. And this is the key area. One who has felt controlled by others often yearns to control others, simply as a way of escaping the potential of future pain and confinement. While the shift from victim to predator is common throughout the incubation of ego, as we expand from the soul's perspective, we are able to access the nature of true freedom without anything to impose, manipulate, or control. So individuals are really just trying to deal with the fact of being so controlled by others. And in turn, they want to do the controlling. So they don't want to ever not be in control anymore. So hence, hand me over your control. I'm going to make the decisions, and I'm going to, in the course of doing so, protect myself and those most close to me. Victimhood is a state of being affected by the choices of others while refusing to consider the options at hand. Predatory behavior signifies feeling so shut down by the wounds of the past that we attempt to take away the choices of others, to feel a depth of control that will never be found. Empowerment is recognizing how everything is here to help you, despite how disheartening any moment seems to be. So pointing out this, what is the source of predatory behavior? And there is so much source you can point to that the vast majority of Indigenous nationals at this stage, are wounded and, cannot be necessarily blamed for this kind of predatory response. It's in the nature of survival as humans. Doesn't make it right, but it does explain why it's happening. And then an uplifting note. You may have believed that being abused meant there was something wrong with you that caused it to happen. Blaming yourself for the circumstances at hand can quickly lead to patterns of spiritual victimhood. The fact is, nothing is wrong with you. Instead, each moment is an opportunity to heal various patterns of the collective that play out as the ups and downs of your personal journey. I was, if not the first, one of the first non-native persons to be told about the atrocities in residential schools. These were elders, and the level of abuse was hard for me to fathom. It was certainly not within my experience and understanding of abuse. This went so far beyond that. And it's understandable that this, being taken from families, having no control of your day in any way, shape, and form. And so the thing that was most interesting for me was the empowerment that happened by virtue of my not only just listening, but sincerely believing. Now, I didn't say all the time, I believe you, although in my book, Gustafson Lake Under Siege, I said that very clearly. I believe you, and this has to be addressed first. Healing, responding, dealing with this has to happen first before anything else. And through the years, I've come to, and again just recently, better understand why that is. And it was the fact that I didn't shake my head and said, oh no, that's not possible, that didn't happen. I didn't gaslight them, as that concept is known. I actually listened and I believed, and they could see in my sincere reaction too that I believed them. And as one or two, sometimes I'd be in a gym, or a hall, and one had heard about me and decided to share with me their story and test me out, if you will, to see if I actually believed them and wouldn't think they were insane and this was not possible. And then they would call others over, and soon, there would be times where I would hear 12, 15, 20 stories. And I believe many of these people were not still around at the time of all the class actions to have their stories told, and they told them to me. And I can tell you that was a really heavy burden to hear those stories. And it was, however, encouraging to know that somehow, by my believing it, not questioning it, and truly listening, how that made a difference for them. So generations now are going through a process of being believed. And first and foremost is the fact that these are Indigenous nationals with existing Indigenous nations that have granted permissions to the Crown through treaties. And Canadians as a whole need to get that straight, need to get that under their belt, because this is true, and that's all I have to say.